gonna go to public comment on agenda items. Rose?
Okay, first of all, on the zoning, on the Tunis minor subdivision, it just came up about, they're going to pay for the special ad that was run for today's meeting, and, Carl noted that they are gonna pay for it, because it's not routine, so I didn't know whether you need to, put that on as, you know, some sort of condition or a note.
No, we do not.
Okay. Now I see on the, department report, Parks and Recreation, and that's, Brian Brenzel. Brian, I saw, if you could give me, it says no report, but I noticed today that there was a backhoe and a lot of activity by the pavilion. I would like to know, was there damage or what the situation was, like when you get to that point?
Yeah, Rose, we have,
You can address it during your report if you would like.
all right,
During your report.
yeah, when it comes up to the report, we're all done.
Okay, well, I just wanted to bring it because I didn't want to interrupt you when it's during the report. Okay, and then when it comes to motion number 4, could you give me more detail on that? And also motion number 9, if you could give me more detail on that. Then I have questions on the bills. Well, on the bills, it would be page 1. Again, it's rental construction, $740. It has 4 lights and 2 toilets, and the notation is for new garage. Could you tell me what the labor amount was?
There was no labor, Rose, I installed them for free. And what they were for, there was 2 toilets for the girls' bathrooms at the baseball field. They were cracked over the winter, something happened, so I replaced them. I went and bought 2 new toilets and I replaced them. As far as the lights for the new garage, there were lights that were flickering. Well, I went and I purchased 4 lights, went down, changed them, put the other ones back in the box, and put them on the shelf, with no cost to township.
Okay, so that was just for the price. Well, thank you, because the electrical and plumbing, like, you probably saved us again, what, $1,000, $2,000? Okay, also on the bills, under PP&L, I see various amounts where checks are voided and then they're, reversed. I don't know, I don't know what happened on there. Can somebody explain that to me, that it replaced 3 and 4?
It have to do with the sale of the garage.
Part of it was the sale of the garage because although they switched the electric into their name, they kept sending us credits. He would pay the bill and then they would credit our account, and it wasn't our money. That, for whatever reason, that one check that was voided is showing up like 6 times, I think probably because oftentimes we do one check with multiple accounts on it, like multiple account numbers, for, say, the street lights.
Right.
So there might be 6 or 7 different accounts, so when she voided that check, it showed 6 times. It was one check. It was just check number 4994. There's been also the meter things that other people have been having. We've had the same thing, so they have credited us on some and billed us on others, so yeah, you can have those. So
Yeah, even though I went through the file today and looked at the bills, it was kind of confusing to know what it was. Okay, on page 1 of the state fund, 5-star equipment, a $4,000 bill to repair a universal joint. What vehicle was that?
Yeah. It's the older backhoe, Rose.
Tobacco?
Yes. The universal joints underneath were clicking and they were ready to snap, so we had to get them replaced.
Okay, then on the permit list, questions, but I didn't get all my research done, so I'll have to leave some for next month. But could you tell me, Deanna Grandview Drive, there's no number, and there's no project value or no permit fee, is it still pending?
Actually, it is, but I have those amounts, I just didn't put them in. He didn't pick it up yet, so I didn't finalize it, but I got the review back committee, I see that usually when I enter it, then I finalize it when they pick it up, so.
Okay,
That's my mistake.
and then the next one is Cinema Green Grove. There's a permit fee for $865, but no project value, or you don't have, but that's still.
That one I have, I don't know why that's up there, it should be, I think it was 200,000.
Okay. All right, I'll leave the ones for next month. I have a couple other ones on there, but that'll be the ones for next month. And going back to motion number 9, could I have a copy of that agreement if it does pass?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Matt?
On motion number 9, I want to ask a few questions on that. The Justice Volunteer Fire Company, I understand, came up with an idea, came to you guys for approval. We came up with ideas a while ago. We had a meeting, I wasn't there, my company was there. It was April 6th. And we were supposed to get together, the supervisors said that we were gonna get together again, the two companies and the supervisors. We have yet to be mentioned of any meeting. So I was wondering if you guys would mind tabling that, because we have some ideas also that we would like to put forth. We could possibly be included in something like that. But there was no communication between all three parties, and I think it should be something that both companies, being part of this township, should have a say in, and maybe we could work together and come up with an agreement together. They're still looking to get their 501c3, I understand from what I read here. We have it. We have a 501. The problem is getting someone to do the payroll and everything, but if you guys are willing to do that, maybe this is something both companies could work together mutually. I also have another recommendation I could bring up under public comment later that the supervisors could entertain if they want, and consider. That would benefit both companies. We came up with an idea that could actually pay for the entire program if they wanted to, and would help both companies thrive and provide protection for this township. So I just want to make that known, that if you guys would be willing to table it so that you could hear our option and maybe wait another month and then come to a conclusion and see what we decide here. That's what, I think that's all I have. We would just, if anybody else has anything. But I'd just like to ask for the chance to be heard, since we were not consulted on. Nobody came to us, nobody asked us, and we've kind of been left in the dust there.
Thank you, Matt.
Steve, can I ask a question?
Sure, Rose.
So if, so is he saying to combine Justice and Scott?
No, maybe work together on an agreement that would benefit both companies.
Oh, well, why don't the two of you get together and everybody work together?
Well, as our August 6th meeting we had with the supervisors, April 6th, they recommended getting the two companies and the supervisors together over here again, like we did about a year ago when we were all here, and we threw ideas at them. One of them was using the road crew guys maybe to help out. And then another one was, I brought up about maybe them possibly putting the staff and paying for the EMTs, hiring a bunch of part-time EMTs, and we were told that they were worried about unionization at that time. So we weren't sure if that was gonna fly. So we threw some ideas around, and then we had our meeting April 6th, and they wanted to get together with us and Justice over here again, and we've been waiting. We haven't heard anything since.
Thank you. Moving forward, I am going to, hold on one moment. Before we move on, I'm gonna add to the motion number 10, to move the November meeting to Monday, November 28th, Tuesday, November 28th?
Yes.
Sorry, Tuesday, November 28th. That'll be motion number 10. Sorry about that. Joe?
Can I have more detail on 4? What's the repair work gonna entail?
And when does the application have to be submitted? And what's the anticipated date of the monies being released? And then what's the anticipated dates of having the road repaired?
I'm in the process of this, we want me to, so it's based on the, tarnship that we were looking at prior, so, KVA did an estimate for using the first bid or quote and plus some of their own notes that they had done before for base repair, et cetera. So it came out to, like 220 something, and then, there's some money there for engineering and contingency, so, it's the base repair down where it's bad, and then the milling, reclamation, tarnship. As far as the grant being submitted, it has to be submitted by the end of the month. I have no idea if we'd even get it. If we get it, I don't know when that'll be, because they don't tell you in advance when it's gonna be awarded. It's whenever they schedule their meeting to do their, if we get the grant and we're selected for it, then we would be notified. They would send us a contract, and then we would have to put it out for bid. So I don't have any dates other than when the grant is due. Other than that, they really don't tell you when they're gonna award it, or, and even after they award it, it takes a while before they send the contract and that kind of stuff, so.
And within that application, there's included drainage repair and base repair?
Yes.
How many linear feet of the roadway is being repaired, from where to where?
It was from up by Novitsky's all the way down, at where you come around the turn right after that small bridge coming from Novitsky's towards Green Grove.
So you're saying where the double pipe is at Novitsky's to Green Grove is gonna be all, tar and chip now?
All the way down, yes.
When was that road last paved?
I have no clue.
Well, I can tell you it was the early 2000s.
I wasn't there.
How long did the township struggle to get that road blacktopped, and now we're going backwards? That road's been neglected for almost 7 years. So now we're going backwards. The road was supposed to be patched last month. It's still not done. Any reason?
We only have one road crew employee and part-time Stanley.
When did the other 2 road crew members resign?
The past month,
Before or after that week it was supposed to be repaired?
I don't remember. It's at least 3 weeks by now.
Oh, thanks. I didn't see that.
Anyone else? Sir?
Yeah.
Your name?
Brian, I met with you last week,
Yes, you did, Bill.
and you never returned any of my calls.
Well, what I was doing is the research on the ditch that we talked about, that you and I walked down.
Yeah.
Well, trying to get the map to figure out whose property it is, where that comes down is Abington's.
that?
What we're trying to do is get together to try to get you some fill down in that hole.
Yeah.
And it's South Abington's ditch. It's not Scott Township. Whether they told you it was our ditch.
Yeah.
We're telling you it's their ditch. We would never put in a blacktop ditch.
That,
Scott Township never put a blacktop ditch in.
Right.
I-
Excuse me one
I
moment.
don't-
Sir,
it's been-
I don't have your name.
Oh,
And
Bill Corpio.
secondly, we're on agenda items at the moment.
Excuse me?
We're on agenda items.
Oh, I didn't know, sir. I
Right.
just first time
We
attended
can go
the
public
meeting.
comment at the end, then we can
Okay.
discuss.
Thank you.
We could meet after the meeting if you want, you know?
All right, absolutely.
Anyone else on agenda items? Joe?
Just a follow-up. For the Novitsky Road, it's still 4 inches. You're gonna mill it 4 inches, right?
What they take out, they put back in.
Well, on Stefersky's quote, it says it's 4 inches.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Carisco?
Well, motion number 9 then, would that agreement include the Scott Hose Company?
No, from the way I understand it, no.
Maybe we need to discuss what the agreement is and what the request was
Exactly.
from Justice.
I think when we get there.
During your report.
Karen?
Hi. I know it's never been requested before, but the sewer authority has a grinder pump bill on property that you are going to be subdividing. And I was wondering if you could, if you are favorable and approve it, that you could approve it conditioned that they pay their grinder pump bill. It's $2,39.57. And they received the bill over a year ago. And I know Carl had told me one time that if people owe money, they can't get permits. So I was wondering if people owed money, whether or not
Karen,
they.
what are you referring to?
Pardon me?
Which are you referring to?
The subdivision that's in front of you?
Tunis
Tunis.
subdivision.
So the amount of the bill is $2,038.57. And I can't collect it on a conveyance because it's not part of the Municipal Tax Claim Act. So the sewer authority would probably prefer not to start a district magistrate action against them to collect the $2,000.
Okay, thank you.
You want?
Anyone else? All right, we will move on to the approval of minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the August 15, 2023 minutes of the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Zoning?
The Verasco minor subdivision. The property runs from Monroe and along Lane Road and to Rural Lane. This is a single 8-acre lot being taken out of a 53-acre parcel, 52-acre parcel. So with remaining lands, it'd be an 8-acre piece with remaining lands of 44 acres. Access to this is off Google Lane, which is an existing 40-foot easement that was done long before we were here. And this was reviewed by the county. Their only comment, they were worried about the shed being close to the property line. Up here, it's just a horse run-in that can be moved, a lean-to. And they questioned the right-of-way, but that was done the previous time, long ago. Work tests were done on this, the remaining lands as septic and soil tests were done on the remaining lands, so.
You mentioned it was reviewed by the county, how about Scott Township Planning Commission?
Reviewed by Scott Township Planning Commission on September 6th, and they recommended approval as presented.
No, it's okay, I'm sorry. Good.
So yeah, that's it on Verasco.
We'll move on to the Tunis minor subdivision.
So this is already a non-conforming situation over there. I'm sure you're all familiar with where the Bill Photo Studios room or building is. There's a couple of rentals in there, and then down behind it is Frank and Carol Tunis's house. So their ultimate goal is to be able to sell off that front property because they just can't maintain it anymore, and it needs to be separated from their house. So the best we could do after several swings was we were able to get the big building on its own 1 acre lot with its own access, and then access to the Tunis home behind it off of a driveway that would serve that house and the property behind it, which Tunis is still on, which is allowed by the ordinance. We got pretty much everything within the setbacks, except for up here, this mobile home is on its own lot already, so obviously there's nothing that can be done up there. It is what it is, they practically touch. But that's already on a.
So I need a little more clarification. Main road.
Yeah.
We're dividing what?
So all you're doing is cutting this off. So, you know where the building is up front? Well, down behind it is Frank and Carol's house. So, but they're all on one block now. So, this would be the new property line. Frank and Carol's house would be on the back lot. The other building would be on this lot. They would be able to access their house this way. And they could sell it. This trailer lot has not been touched. That was existing. Where that tiny little lot with the trailer on it, that's pre-existing, so it hasn't been touched. Neither has the driveways, the lands of Brady Tunis, all that stuff, that was all existing. It's just this square, just that one piece of property. Yeah, so where the current driveway is now would technically end at the property line once this is done, and they would access over on the side to get to the rear. They would not be cutting through that property. Right. Yeah, they've maintained it over that 35-foot side. I have not gotten the county notes back on this because we had to resubmit it for review. It was reviewed by the planning commission tonight. It was reviewed last week and then it was reviewed tonight after some corrections were made, and they recommended approval.
We'll move on to department reports. Police report is attached. Roads.
Yeah, we've been cutting brush, filling potholes, cleaning up, little bit of everything. Moved the shed, did recommend it last month, we got that moved. And that was done by Dutnick Towing, and there's no charge to the township. They send a a rollback up, put it on a rollback, took it down there, he didn't charge us anything. So I'd like to say thank you to him from the township. Some cleanup. We had 2 roads that did suffer a little damage on the weekend storm we had over there in Hemlock. We had a washout over there, and we had one up on Penthouse. Penthouse, it's just passable. You can get in and out with truck. I wouldn't want to drive car up in there, but there's no houses or anything on it, and we'll get to that one when we can. I had Rossi Reuter was scheduled to come in last week and clean out the pipe on Hemlock. They broke down on the way, so they canceled out. I called them yesterday morning, and they were tied up on another job. She assured me that it would be either yesterday or today, and it wasn't either day. So I'll get a hold of them again tomorrow, find out, because I have a pipe to clean up on Taylor Hill, and that one over on Hemlock. It's taken water when it's just a light rain, but the pipe is plugged. It's, the ditch, well, Mike and Brian were there, the ditch someplace was 4 feet deep, it was just about on the sewer line. We stayed late Monday night, we cleaned it up, made the road passable, made it safe, and, we went home after 9.5 hours, and there's just me and Buzz, so I did driving truck, Buzz running the machine, and whatever it takes. Today we had a new employee for a while with us, working on the water up at the park. Brian, he can up and help, got pictures to prove it. And, we're just about ready to button that up tomorrow. I have to go to Central Tractor, or Central Clay down in Wilkes-Barre to get the parts to fix it. And then we can shut the all side off, park where all the baseball fields are, the pavilions, separate of the concession, of the rest of the park. We don't have to have all the water on, and the pavilion will have its own water supply. It's branched off, and we'll take care of that tomorrow, as long as they have the parts down there. But I'll be down there in the morning and get what we need if they have them. And that's it. We're working with a short crew. I'll be out for a couple of days, but
So the short crew is just you and Buzz?
that's it. That's our short crew. When we had the washout over in Hemlock, and one of the residents come out, and she was asking about this and doing that, and she wanted to know how many people work here, and I says, well, for the road crew or the whole township? She's for the road department. I said, we got 30-some miles of road, and you're looking at the road crew. She said, oh, okay, and whenever you get to her little problem, some of the problems are small, some of them are big. We do have one over on the Linden. That house on the corner.
I know what you're talking about.
The water comes out, last year we had to go there every day in the wintertime and spread salt on that road. Like, it's expensive, it's $70-some a ton. The only way they're gonna do it is to pipe it down and put it in that inlet, which they were told, there's
That's where they had that experimental engineering design, because
Yeah,
of
it
the
didn't-
pipe
that didn't
coming
work.
out of that rock when they built the house.
it doesn't work, it runs water there 24/7, all the time, and it crosses the road. Summertime, you can put up with it. Wintertime, it's gonna be ice again, because that's what happens there. And I believe there's a school bus goes down through there, so they're gonna have to do something with it.
Well, I see, I mean, with all this rain we've had this summer, there's been a constant flow of water down,
Right.
down that whole
And
road.
I mean, it's been an unusually wet year after June with it. The beginning was dry, but then we've been hit almost every second day with rain. And, that's all we're gonna do, is just keep right on going until we catch up on everything. Nowitzki Road, as soon as we get there, we did get a loan on a machine to start plugging, putting tar down and sealing our cracks. But it takes 3 guys to run it, and, we're just shy one down. But as soon as we're able, we'll get out, we'll crack seal, we're caught up on everything else. We'll get to Nowitzki Road, and we'll get to crack seal.
Which was gonna be another, I'm gonna revert to Nowitzki Road, because it's the worst thing that I've ever seen. What are we doing to preserve our paved roads? We're working on dirt roads, we're grading, we're doing whatever we need to do, but what are we doing to preserve our paved roads in the township, which are gonna essentially cost us way more money?
What are we doing to preserve them?
Yes.
Cleaning ditches, putting in riprap where it's necessary, cutting brush back. All of that is part of maintenance. And that's what you have to do, is keep them
I mean, in all due respect, we have been talking for a couple of years now about crack sealing.
Yep.
And there's roads that have not been touched in years.
You're 100% right. And there was someone that was scheduled to do it last year, never showed up. There was someone to do it the year before, never showed up. So now we borrowed a machine that we're gonna start crack sealing when we get the personnel and we get the time. Yeah, you wanna do preventative maintenance, but you must keep the roads open. And if you ride around the township on all the state roads, you got water running across the roads everywhere. There's not very many places that you got water running across the township roads, whether they're dirt or paved. So we see a problem area, we get out and we address that area. And we're doing the best that we can do with what we have. We had 2 trucks down, 2 of our big trucks was down. Crankshaft sensor was bad in the 1 truck, finally got that fixed. And, Peterbilt had no lights on it, so we got that fixed. So little by little, we're catching up, but it's not gonna happen overnight. But it's gonna be snow time pretty quick.
Yes, it is.
We put 100 tons of salt in there 2 weeks ago. Carl ordered 100 ton for me on Friday. I called Matt yesterday, he hasn't returned my call yet. As soon as he does, we'll put another 100 ton in there, then we'll get our anti-skid in. And hopefully, like mid-month, we'll have the salt in and the anti-skid ready for the winter. We do need a plow, we do need a truck, but the plow is a must. We have to have a plow. The plow is on the International. That's gone through probably 4 trucks already, maybe 5, and it's just totally wore out. It's just, everything is just wore on it.
Thank you, Stanley. We'll move on to Parks and Recreation. Brian, did you have something to say?
Rose, you asked about the park
Yeah,
up
could you
there.
speak up so we can hear you back here?
Yeah, Rose, you asked about the park. So what happened is, we had a water bill that we were using 467 gallons, 647 gallons a day of water in the park, not being used that often. So I walked it yesterday, and I found a wet spot somewhere out by the flagpole, but I don't know if it's from the water leaking up to the ground or not, I don't know. So the solution right now was to go over and dig up where the shut off. So if you shut the water off, the entire park and the pavilion shut off at the same time. So what we did, we followed the line to a T, dug it up today. We were there 6 hours digging it up. They were there a little bit longer. I didn't get there till 10:30. But finally got to the T, found the T. Now we just need curb stop so that we can shut off the water to the baseball parks and still leave the pavilion running, because we can't shut it all down. And this way, we're gonna have a meter read, and then try to slowly find out where the water's going and what part of it. So, again, I was there for 5.5 hours in the mud today.
Yeah.
And we found the T, and we're ready to put it back together tomorrow. So that's what's going on in the park.
Yeah, because I went by and I saw, and I thought there was damage to the pavilion, I saw, Franco and
Yeah.
I don't know who was down and,
Yeah, well, they were shorthanded, so I went over and, I told Stanley yesterday if he needed a hand, leave my job early and come over and help him out.
Are you going to build the township?
No, not at all.
So how long has it been leaking, or what was the bill, like you get a monthly bill?
There is a monthly bill, and I think that the spike was from last month.
Well, so we went through it after Dan noticed it yesterday that it had gone up $100 from last month we went through. So it's been slowly climbing, but it's hard to tell at the height of summer when, baseball fields are there, you don't notice it as readily as you do this time of year. So, it looks like it's been climbing a little bit every month, but.
Well, this happened, I got called yesterday about it. Carl called me yesterday, and I met him up there, we walked the field.
Yeah. That bill that came yesterday showed an average of 636 gallons a day, which is absurd for this time of year. There's
Yeah,
just
we
no
only
way.
have one baseball game there a night now until October. So there, you know, we have to keep the water open to use the bathrooms. So this way we can at least shut the ball fields off and they can use the pavilion. So we can keep it used, so they can still use the field. So that's how we're trying to get it step by step to get it done.
I did test those couple of spots we found, the one in the field, which Dan said is there every time it rains, but there's no chlorine in that. I checked, over by the girls' home plate where the water is, there was no chlorine in that, so I mean, but the problem is, when Swamp gets there, that leak is probably going down instead of coming up.
Well, I think it's gonna be a process of elimination, and I think at one point, when we do get the time, that we put curb stops at each one of the buildings, and then figure it out from there. But it's gonna take time to do that, I know that, but at one point, maybe that should be the goal.
There is a main shut off in the boys' refreshment stand that shuts down everything to that building.
Okay.
They put in.
Oh, okay, right. So, yeah, that's your status on those.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Planning Commission, I assume there's no report. Zoning Officer reports attached. Administrative reports, Secretary Treasurer financial reports are attached. Presentation of bills attached. Supervisors, Michael?
Yes. Carl, could you turn the air down? I'm freezing. Is anyone else cold?
Just right.
I'm just gonna go get my jacket.
I just made it a little cooler because we had the window open and it was loud, so I thought we could close the window if I couldn't hear.
It's nice and warm back in here.
Bill, remember that one day you were taking her out there, how cold it was?
That's better. All right,
Bill,
now, as was previously mentioned earlier, there's 2 openings on the road department. We had 2 resignations of employees on the road crew. The ads run. I think we have several applications already. So if anyone's interested, or if you know anyone that's interested in applying, drop the resume off or email it to the office, Carl or Diane, and hopefully we will be hiring some additional employees to help the road crew and get some last minute projects done before winter arrives. One other thing we do need to discuss, Stanley kind of mentioned it, is the need for the plow. Well, I think we also need to talk about whether we want to buy a new truck. And that should probably be in conjunction with the budget for next year. So it's something we'll want to work with Carl about. Is it something that we can swing? What other pieces of equipment have been paid off? What other payments are still available? So we need to talk about that, make a decision probably within a month or so.
I have a list of the vehicles that'll be paid off in December and January of this year, so there's a list of the payments that we won't have, so.
So, all right, so yes, we need to address that. Then I'll use this report to talk about motion number 9, explain what it is, and just historically to give everybody some perspective of where we were and where we are with ambulance and EMT protection in the township. Several years ago, I believe it was Scott, due to the lack of volunteers and EMTs, came up with a really excellent idea to hire an EMT through Commonwealth Health. And the EMT went, and then they teamed up with Justice, and they had an EMT for a week over here in Scott, then a week over at Justice, and they used each ambulance. And that worked fine for quite a while until Commonwealth Ambulance was sold. And the deal or the contract was that the paid EMT was available Monday through Sunday, 6:30 to 4:30 every day. times when most volunteers aren't available, because they have jobs and you're not
Just
around
to
the township.
clarify that, it wasn't Commonwealth.
Or maybe
The
it was a
original
cottage,
agreement
or,
was with Cottage.
but the original idea was Scott's. And it was set up, and then both fire companies worked on it, and then the last contract was with Commonwealth, and then, of course, they were sold, and then, really there was no longer a paid EMT, so, since last fall, when the company was sold, ambulance calls have basically been, responded to, just simply on a volunteer basis, with, no support from the township, crews from Justice, crews from Scott when they can get out. This is an issue that's not, it's not unique to Scott Township. There is a huge problem with EMS, ambulance protection in all municipalities, not Scott Township. It's a problem that Lackawanna County has, it's a problem that the state has, and the state needs to address it. Because there are many townships, we're lucky we have 2 fire departments, some don't have any ambulance protection, and people are at the mercy of a private ambulance far away, actually responding to a call. And, we recognize, that someone's having a heart attack or a stroke, time is of the essence, and that local ambulance is just so important. It could mean life or death for somebody. And so, we have supported trying to do whatever we can to help beef up EMS services and coverage for township residents. So, I think it was last month. So since last fall.
You go back to the EMS tax? You go back to,
Yes,
talk about the EMS
there was
tax.
an EMS tax to help pay for the cost of the paid EMT.
What did you find out with that?
It
What was
passed.
your final determination?
It passed, and
It did pass.
It was used to help pay for the paid EMT. But one step I should back up on is initially you had both host companies working on funding the paid EMT. Then Scott dropped out, and they couldn't afford to pay for it. So you just had Justice operating and paying for the paid EMT. I don't remember how long that was. During COVID, we discussed and we put the question on the ballot as to whether or not there should be an EMS tax to help pay for EMS coverage. And at that point, the only one that was providing a paid EMT was Justice, so the funds, we did go with Justice to help pay for the paid EMT.
And it'd be an accurate statement to say that Scott Township Post, but we never received a penny of that.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, because Scott Hose was not paying for an EMT. And the wording of the resolution, the referendum that passed was that the money had to be used for a paid EMT. So at that point, the only entity that was actually paying for the paid EMT was Justice. So we gave them, that $1 million for maybe a year, and then Commonwealth went out of business. So since then.
Was that $1 million sufficient enough to cover that?
No, it doesn't. I think that probably brings in about $40,000 or $42,000, and the total cost of the EMT is $70,000 plus. So.
Is that when you initiated using the paid township employees to assist them with driving?
I think that was before that. But that was just the cost of the paid EMT, not the cost of the ambulance, maintaining the ambulance. That's just for the paid EMT. I think it's $70,000
To your knowledge,
plus.
would you know if a township employee ever responded to Scott Township Fire Department to assist them with the ambulance?
I don't know. I don't. I haven't looked at any of the records, so I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head.
Well, I could tell you they did.
Well, I don't know, and it's not happening now because the two guys that were on the road department have resigned, so we don't have anybody to.
With that in
to
mind,
any
you have like a prerequisite, like, with these employees that you're gonna hire for future
It would be
township
nice if.
employers, are they gonna be certified in any type of EMS, fire, company background?
If we could find somebody that does have that, yes. That's similar to what South Abington does. When they hire people, they have their EMTs, and, they can respond on fire calls, ambulance calls. Now, ideally, that's the way to go. If we could find somebody like that applies.
Didn't you have a township employee that did respond to calls, and he was let go because of that reason?
No, I mean, we had someone let go because he was found sleeping in the truck during a snowstorm behind the salt shed.
So it had nothing to do with him responding to
No,
calls and.
he was found sleeping behind the salt shed. So, no one was dismissed because they were going to calls. We encouraged that, so, ever since last fall, the host companies have been basically covering EMS calls on a volunteer basis with no funding from the township because the tax is suspended since there was at that point no paid EMT, and the money has to be used to pay for the payment of an EMT. And then last month, Justice came to the meeting and made a proposal and asked for the township's help to improve ambulance calls and EMS service that they're currently providing, and on a temporary basis at no cost to the township. So I see we have guys here from Justice. Would you like to fill everybody in on what the proposal was that was made last month?
So,
Yeah, this
Chris
is-
here, and I'm the fire chief over at Justice. The proposal for, the motion number 9 was the Justice Volunteer Fire Company would reimburse the township for any and all costs associated with putting the paid EMT on the payroll, to include payroll taxes and their salary. So that was what the agreement was for.
Do you have any idea what that might cost?
An $18 an hour employee with employment tax turns out to be between $21 and $22 an hour. So it turns out to be in the ballpark of $75,000 to $80,000 a year. They provide a 1 mil tax that provides approximately $42,000, which would still leave us with about a $30,000 deficit that we would be responsible for. So it wouldn't even pay the whole year. We would have to still pay out of our own pocket for the rest of the year, just to have the EMT, not including any wear, tear, maintenance, and anything like that.
No, I mean, at this point, there's no EMS tax involved. This is, since it's suspended, and it's my understanding that your proposal was that this is something temporary until you get your 501(c)(3)
Correct. Right now,
designation
we
from the
are
IRS.
501(c)(3) status in the IRS's eyes. We are working with an accountant to secure that. Once that is achieved, the thought is to then move away from using the township as the employer, and then Justice Volunteer Fire Company as the nonprofit organization would hire the employees, and then we would pick up our own workers' comp and our own payroll at our expense, and then back away from the township, and then we would do that. It's the similar concept that Chinchilla Hose Company currently does. They hire themselves, they have their own workers' comp, they have their own everything, and it would basically be a duplication of their model.
And would this take us back to the status that we were in when Commonwealth Health had the contract providing the paid EMT? 70 hours a week, and what you were paying them then?
You'll be able to speak more on what we think for Commonwealth.
We obviously haven't had
paid, Bill Kaiser, treasurer assistant. We haven't had any, paid staff in the Commonwealth for almost a year. And the contract we had with Commonwealth was a bit aged, so the pricing per hour with them was rather beneficial to us.
Okay.
Current market conditions are, we're gonna pay more than that.
So
But as far as the hours of coverage, our goal is to work our way up and have the same 70 hours of coverage we had with Commonwealth.
Okay. So to put us back in the same situation we were when we had to pay.
Same level of service,
All
right.
right. And this is temporary until you get a 501(c) status. And you would reimburse the township for all of our costs. So it's basically just be a pass-through. And you can't hire the employees right now because you're not 501.
Correct, it would be similar to kinda like the SRO with the school.
Okay.
The way the agreement is worded, Mike, just for clarification, it's for 1 year only, but it is terminable by either party within 60 days.
Okay.
So, but otherwise, it's a year agreement.
So it would be the number of employees to be able to cover 70 hours a week. So it would have to be more than one, ideally probably around a figure of 10 persons to be able to cover the hours, keeping it under 30 hours per person, so then we stay part-time, non-unionized, no benefits, employee. Is that one person staff, or is that two? That is the same Commonwealth model of one EMT at the station, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week.
With the current numbers, is that gonna, the current ambulance numbers, is that, figuring that wage, is that gonna be sufficient enough, the 80,000? Do you think that's gonna be enough money?
From what I'm seeing now, it's viable, yes.
So that's what the proposal is. Since last month's meeting, Justice advised us that it would be 70 hours a week and that they would be paid $18 an hour. So based on that, we have, Carl and Diane figured up, what the cost would be for insurance and workers' compensation and employment taxes for a rate that we would be reimbursed back. So it would cost the township.
So you're saying you're gonna pay the workers' comp?
We will pay, yes, as they would be our employee. We pay everything, but then we get reimbursement back from the fire company, like we do with the SRO at the school. We pay the SRO, but the school pays us, an hourly rate with all those employment taxes and workers' compensation figured in, so that it's not costing us anything. So that's what this proposal is. Temporary, we get total reimbursement.
So what if we wanted to do the same thing?
If you wanna hire employees and reimburse us, I think we'd be open to that.
So you're gonna put the money up front initially, that's what's going on? That's what this
But we
agreement
would
is?
have to be reimbursed, every 2 weeks to cover that payroll.
The agreement is 2 weeks to reimburse you?
Yes.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. 100%. Every 2 weeks, 100%.
It's gonna happen.
Including the 15.73% that it costs for the unemployment tax and all the rest of it.
And then once you get your 501(c)(3), or C3, I always get it mixed up, not a tax lawyer, they will become your employees, and the township, they will no longer be the township employees, like South African does. Rose?
You have to enact something, because it's better than nothing, rather than, and then if there's flaws, then you straighten it out, but just enact something. Because you have to, it has to be, you have to have the safety of the community.
How many calls have you guys gone on this year?
We were dispatched, 468 for the year.
And that's all but by volunteers?
Yeah, that's so far this year as of today.
468?
Yeah, 468 units.
Was that all in Scott Township?
That is anywhere we are called for service.
Your service county calls for the,
I mean, if you were called to Chinchilla or Scranton, you have to go,
Clark Summit, Clark, yes.
and you're
So
available?
The way the licensing works per the Department of Health is when you are requested on, you are requested for the service, and the service has to be rendered because you were requested, unless canceled by a closer unit. So if we are called, you're supposed to respond.
Same question to Scott, how many have you been on?
How many EMS dispatches? 188, I believe, as of today.
Today, for this year?
188 dispatches.
How many?
188 dispatches. Our dispatch numbers are cut in half now due to the fact that we're out of service and we don't have a quick crew in compliance with the PA Department of Health EMS acts. And when we're not dispatched to the other side of the township, as we used to be when it was a dual dispatch between both fire companies.
I just want to answer a question for Ron. There was never a time, ever, that either department didn't have an EMS service coming. When we go out of service, there's a paid service dispatched every time.
I understand that because, I mean, even the other communities, you see Pennsylvania Ambulance or Commonwealth. As a matter of fact, when the local service is called, they show up. I was over in Chinchilla the other day in a store, and somebody passed out, and Chinchilla showed up, and so did, it was Commonwealth.
Well, Commonwealth,
Well, that was what was the name on the truck, so. The vehicle.
So that's what this proposal is. It's temporary, we get reimbursed, going 100%. I think we have an obligation to do whatever we can to make it easier for the volunteers to provide EMS service to the township. And I would be in favor of this. That doesn't preclude us from still talking to Scott and Justice, and hear what their proposals all are for a long-term, I don't want to say it's a solution, because I don't know if there's ever going to be a solution, a perfect solution to EMS coverage in the township. But for right now, to take some of the burden off you guys, since you're just covering everything on a volunteer basis, I think this would help. It will get us back to where we were when Commonwealth Ambulance was providing EMS protection to the township. For now, I would be in favor of this because I think it helps you guys, and I think it takes the burden off the volunteers, and I think it's so important to have local EMS ambulance response to township residents. I just had the opportunity to call the ambulance for my dad several weeks ago, and the ambulance was there in 5 minutes. I thought he had had a stroke, and if it had been that,
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
As a township official, have you checked with any other township boroughs or anything in our county, through your township meetings that you go, supervisors in Pennsylvania, how they're handling the situation?
Well, we know that, yes, we know that South Abington they have the model that Justice has just proposed here, that they are hiring part-time EMTs as their own employees, and they're running it.
Their township themselves are doing it.
No, the fire company is. Now.
And it's always been like that?
I don't know if it's always been, but that's how it currently is.
It changed over about a year ago.
Now, Greenfield has something different. They actually employ and pay for the EMTs, but they have a contract with Clifford, and so I mean they cover the cost. Mayfield, something very similar. The EMTs are employees of the borough, and then the host company reimburses the borough every 2 weeks on the total cost but that's how it is. I think it's permanently like that, because they're not, I don't think they're a 501 C3.
I don't understand that if this is a statewide and federally a problem, that is not being addressed by not just checking supervisors and things around here. If it's statewide, it should be something that should be.
I agree, and that's up to our state representatives and our state senators to address this. This is something that's bigger than Scott
Are they
Township.
aware of the problem?
We complained to them, they just haven't addressed it. I can't tell you why they haven't, and it's coming to a head and it's getting worse, all over, just because of the lack of volunteers. And
I don't understand why this is being.
I mean, luckily we have
a township problem, and not a county problem, not a state problem.
It is. I mean, we're trying the best we can do here, but we only have so many resources. We need higher officials than us to address the current crisis.
But that's why we vote for you, that's why we elect you.
But I'm not a state representative. That
But
question needs to be addressed to them. You know, we're trying to address this now with the best we
If
can.
I'm a politician,
Larger problem.
I'm going to resources to see how other communities are addressing this problem.
Well, we have, and we see what they've done in Greenfield, we see what they do in Mayfield, we see what they do in
Greenfield's
South
numbers are
Abington.
not even close to that.
Well,
Greenfield
yeah,
put their numbers, they're
there's,
not
there's,
even close
there's,
to that.
there's different, there's different programs that they have set up. There's the three that I just mentioned. We have the proposal from Justice, which is similar to or almost identical to what South Abington is doing, and I think we should do it. It's not costing us anything. It takes the burden off. The volunteers. I just think it's
How are you gonna
a good idea.
supply, where's the money come from to pay for that?
Well, I mean, that answer has to come from Justice.
No, I'm not saying for you, like, how are you getting them started? So that they can reimburse you, where's the money come from?
We can cover it for a couple weeks, and then they're going to start reimbursing us every 2 weeks. So,
So you have the money to initiate that?
yes. Rich?
Well, going back to last year, and then again this past April, when we requested help, and then the supervisor says they would meet with us or call another meeting, just say whatever it was, a week or a month since then. So the idea of it is, why weren't we included in this conversation? We're all in the same township, the two of those companies serving our residents. So what the idea is,
This was just proposed to us last month. I mean, if
That's
Scott
what-
wants to do the same thing now, I'm sure we're open to it. If you want to hire EMTs and then reimburse us every 2 weeks, I would not have an objection to that.
Did all the supervisors participate in that meeting?
I have to stop this right here and now. We agreed back in April that we were gonna meet with both host companies together. We did not do that.
Right.
We had a meeting with Justice Hose Company a few weeks ago. I was not privy to that meeting. I was not there, I was not included, for whatever reason, all right? It was not my personal choice not to be there. I don't agree with myself voting on, in favor, not in favor, temporary, not temporary, of something that I read in 2.5 minutes. And that's my stance on this.
I remember that.
But I do think that we're getting a little carried away in this conversation. I think everybody gets the point of where everybody stands, so I think we need to move on.
May I just say one thing?
Sure.
Glenn Kraft. Mr. Finucci, last month, he said there was too many variables, and he didn't agree with that. I don't know what changed then, but.
I got my questions answered
When?
during the month.
Was it a
At
private
this
meeting?
meeting?
Was this a private meeting?
Mayo,
I
what I
didn't
do.
know where the private meeting came in, okay.
that's what I do. No, I wasn't part of that meeting.
It should have been, but.
I mean, here's the thing, for all volunteers, whatever help you could give Justice or us is welcome. It's very much appreciated. We need the help. But the idea of it is, you know, we were not privy to any conversation, so we didn't have a chance to, you know, possibly agree, disagree, go over the facts and figures. Our response calls of the 188 is way, way lower than it used to be, because we did not have the EMT on hand to respond to those calls. Otherwise than that, our calls would also be over 300. So I mean, you know, the township is responsible, the officials of the township are responsible to help out the residents, and that's what we want to do. But we are strapped. When we had to pay the EMT from Cottage Hose Company for all those years, we struggled to pay the EMT. We struggled. We just could not handle it anymore. We were sinking. We're good back then because we had an agreement with Justice and we worked well. But we just, it was beyond financially to do. So the idea is possibly that's when maybe you had the idea, well, let's get an EMT tax. Well, whatever. But you could see that didn't work. So we need any and all help. We're just sort of disappointed that we weren't included in the conversation.
Well, we're not, no one's precluded from having a further conversation. This would just help Justice out right now, but we're not precluded from all sitting down and listening to Matt's
You told us that before,
proposals.
Mike.
And,
You told us that before.
yes, and we just heard
And it
about this
didn't happen.
proposal last
Didn't
week.
happen.
We still can do it for a more permanent solution. But, you know, right now, like, this will benefit Justice, take some burden off the volunteers, but we can still have that conversation of, with both hose companies, like, how do we go forward? Providing more EMS and ambulance protection for the township. And this is not a permanent solution, but it's a better solution now than just volunteers covering everything.
James?
Can I make a comment? Jim Romano, I live in the township here. My question is, I wasn't really clear on the conversation. The EMS tax that they're talking about, they're anticipating the $42,000, that approximately that is collected. When would that actually start again?
Well, if it's suspended, it would be up to the board to reinstate it. If we want.
Okay, then how would that happen? Because I feel like the Justice Fire Department is anticipating that money, and it doesn't sound like that could happen immediately.
We haven't made
We
that
have to do
decision.
it before the first of the year.
It would have to be part of the budget process.
That's what I'm trying to
First
say.
of the year.
So the first of the year would be
Yeah.
the soonest that they would be able to see that.
And
We're-
but we wouldn't even see any of that tax revenue probably until March or April.
Okay, so the Justice Fire Department is clear that they're paying the whole bill until that could come out.
That's correct, isn't it?
Right? You guys understand?
We're in the position right now to cover the expense of the EMT.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it sounded like,
Appreciate that the odds of us in a day or two having 70 hours of coverage is slim to none. It's gonna ramp up, which is similar to what happened in Chinchilla as they got moving. We certainly had the funding to support this through the end of the year. We would certainly appreciate the township putting the EMT tax in place. That'd be a huge help. But if it doesn't happen, we will continue to fund this.
okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Well, as we talked about when we were at your meeting over there, and I can remember someone stating that they don't have the money to do the EMT. You financially can't do it. You had no EMT. That's what Matt said. Here in the meeting, you said that, Matt.
I said that it was tough for us to do, and that's why we
Right,
did
you
away
could,
with it.
you
'Cause
said
we were
that
breaking
you
even
would
with
want,
money.
you wanted us to hire employees as full-time employees of Scott Township.
Part-time employees, not full-time.
Employees of Scott Township. Keep them on our payroll you pick who you wanted to use them as EMTs, and us not get any money back. You said, I don't know if we can pay you back or not. That's what was said by you in a public meeting.
I don't recall that, but
It was said in one of our
I
meetings
don't
here.
recall saying that we would
But
pay it back.
it was basically said that if we had the money to pay back, and what if we didn't have the money to pay back? Well, this is a guaranteed money that's not costing the township zero. So in the meeting that I talked, and I asked Justice, have you approached Scott about this, maybe taking some of them people over here to work as a whole? Because personally, I don't feel there should be 2 ambulance companies in Scott Township. Whether anyone agrees with me or not, it doesn't matter. That's my opinion. But I think everyone should work together as one company, and strive that way, instead of paying this company that much, this one company that much. Work as one. Get together. You know, you're leaving it on, you're leaving, excuse me? Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
I said you should go down and tell Lackawanna County that communication center, especially the night of the storm.
Well, but here's what I'm saying to you, Ted. Get with them. I mean, we're all adults. Get with them, because get together. Maybe this will work for both of you together. You're sitting here blaming this, that, and the other thing. Get together with them. They're 100% funding this. It's not coming out of a taxpayer's dollar. They're funding it. We're not funding it. It's a good idea for a temporary problem.
See, here's the part that I don't understand, and I don't get it. Clifford Township sends Greenfield Township money. Greenfield Township pays Greenfield Fire Company money. The only reimbursement they have if they go over that amount of money they get. So now you're talking $120,000 to $130,000 a year.
But they're getting from both townships. They're getting 75 from one township and 75 from another.
Correct.
Which is $150,000. And if they go over that $150,000, the fire company has reimbursed. We don't have $150,000 to fund to you. We don't have it sitting here
You're
to fund.
telling me we're not as, how could I say this? Financially stable as Clifford Township?
I'm not saying that we're not financially.
We're not as financially stable as Greenfield Township?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we don't have the money to hire full-time employees here at Scott Township so that we can have full-time EMTs. Absolutely not. We're not, we can't do it. The solution is, what they're trying to do is the solution. Maybe get together with them.
They're putting themselves on the line here. That's a big responsibility, and
they're taking it.
For it.
That's
a big responsibility.
They're taking the responsibility of having a full-time EMT here in Scott Township. They're taking the initiative to do it. Maybe get together with them and see, maybe everybody can work together. It can work for everyone. I believe it can work for everyone.
I just don't believe that there's
Well,
money available for it.
the negativity isn't gonna help.
We have to move on from this conversation. I really think this is a conversation to be had between the supervisors and the host companies, ex parte, from a public meeting. We're getting a little out of line here, so I'm gonna move on to my supervisor's report. One thing that I would like to say is, to lighten up the matter a little bit. Stanley, thank you for having that shed moved out of our park. It added to the beauty. I'm very appreciative of it. Also, I'd like to take a moment to commend, congratulate, and thank Mr. James Romano here for taking a fallen establishment and revitalizing it and opening Maley Manor. Congratulations and thank you. And that will be all for me. Right?
No, I'm not.
Solicitor's report?
I have no report tonight.
Rick, I have a question.
Sure.
I think Karen had brought up the issue of payment of this bill or whatever for the Tunis's question I have is, do we have the authority to do that? To make it as a condition, hold up the approval? We've never done that.
I mean, no, we haven't, and there's nothing, to my knowledge, in the subdivision and land development ordinance. I mean, you've never done it, so I would tend to shy away from it. I mean, I guess you, if it was passed, you could do it. I don't know how much teeth it would have, put it that way. I mean, actually, what you'd be doing is putting yourselves then in a position to collect the bill from the sewer authority if these people don't pay it. I mean, because you're holding up their subdivision. So for those reasons, I would tend to shy away
I think
from
the
it.
only thing to do is say, well, like, we're not gonna sign the plan until that bill's paid, and I'm not
Well,
convinced that we can do that.
there's legal ramifications of that, because then they can't record it, and there could be liability if they're relying on this to be done, or if they make plans, because they did get approval from the planning commission. So I don't know. I just don't think it's prudent to do.
There's something I read.
We don't have an ordinance on it.
That about permits, it could be without my other township, but I do believe that the township had to have a policy or an ordinance or something
Oh,
that
definitely.
went along with that.
You always need something to
You can't
back
just
it up.
wing it. I don't recall ever seeing anything about subdivisions, just permits.
So I don't think we should.
Okay.
Joe?
I just have a question.
Thank you.
Is
Thank you,
the
Michael.
sewer authority under the umbrella of the township, or is it a separate entity?
It's a separate entity.
Thank
The
you.
only thing we do is appoint the members.
Thank you.
But what about that a special ad, that newspaper ad, if they had a special meeting? Carl said it could be covered for the 100 or 200 for the ad.
They're gonna be agreed to pay.
They're gonna pay that? You know, that sewer bill is over $2,000.
We're gonna move on to correspondence. Correspondence has been previously distributed to the appropriate parties. Before we begin the motions, I am gonna ask that my supervisors may want to agree to table motion number 9 for today, because I really have not had a chance to review this agreement. And I would like to further meet and discuss what I'm agreeing upon in clear conscience.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the agreement until we got to the meeting tonight, but we know the basic provisions. They're what the fire company had requested last year. The only thing to do is how many hours they were going to be, that we know is how many hours that was going to be covered and what the payment was. So, and I'm not in agreement to table it.
Fine.
I have a question. Rick, did you say that you reviewed certain things and you're comfortable with things?
The questions I had, yeah.
So you're comfortable with?
I am, yeah, and the other part is, as I noted, it's terminable 60 days notice, so either party can get out of it, so it's not like it's a long-term, it's not working, if there's something that you acknowledge, and I agree with, if there's a flaw, you seek to fix it. I view this as a big benefit to the township overall. Not without an eye on either host company, this is good for the residents, and why not? I don't see the township or the residents having anything to lose, after I got my questions answered. And it's covered in here. I mean, there's indemnification provisions in here about it,
Rick,
it'll work.
Did you write that agreement?
Yeah, it's based on, more or less, it's based on a model of Mayfield Borough's agreement. Very, very short and sweet. It's only 2.25 pages, double spaced.
Is that normal practice, though, just to hand it to the supervisors before a meeting and they don't even have time to review it?
It's been a work in progress for about a week, but that's their prerogative. They haven't.
Again, it's temporary, it's not costing the township anything, and it doesn't preclude us from still meeting with both fire companies and talking about long range, you know, how do we address this long range?
Work in
And,
progress.
You know, we're still interested in hearing, Matt he said he had some ideas and proposals, and, you know, we'll listen to that. And we'll get together and we'll meet, and, you know, hopefully come up with a better long-term
I think you
solution.
should read the agreement.
I read it.
You just told me, you just said you did.
No, I read it tonight. Rick gave it to us this evening. It's only a couple pages, so.
We'll move on to the motions. I'll make the motion to pay October payroll. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to pay general fund and state fund bills as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the financial reports as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 2023-09-01, authorizing the application for a multi-module grant in the amount of $246,390 for repair of Nowitzki Road, and naming Stephen Russell Carr and Carl Ferraro as authorized signers on the grant paperwork. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make the motion to approve the Bufano Russin lot line changes.
Sorry, hold on. That's the Verastro. That was left over from last month. Verastro. The second one is correct first.
Dominic Verastro.
Yes. I'll make the motion to approve the Verastro lot line change as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to approve the Tunis minor subdivision as presented. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to accept the resignation of John Sheridan effective August 24th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Abstain. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to accept the resignation of Robert Keith effective August 31st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Abstain. All in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve a cooperation agreement with the Justice Volunteer Fire Company to assist them with payroll processing for paid ambulance employees. This is their second.
I'll second it.
Abstain.
Aye.
I need a motion to move the November meeting to Tuesday, November 28th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment? Closed.
What's the status on the Justice Department?
Waiting on judge's decision. Hasn't come out yet.
Okay, so there's nothing on there.
No.
Any movement on anything with the land bank?
No.
Any scheduled court hearings? Besides the one in October?
That's it, just that, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? Stanley?
Yes. Do I have an answer one way or another about the plow or truck or whatever? Because truck, you're gonna have to act fast, because he's got two on the lot, but they don't sit there. And it's not like going to Gibbons Ford to buy a pickup truck or a Sylvester Chevrolet. You know, they make so many of them a year, and when they're gone, they're gone.
Carl, can we swing this with the budget for next year to buy a new truck?
We may be able to, I mean, I really haven't even started the budget yet, because I get wish lists, but, I mean, we could, a lot of it would also depend on if we get the grant for the K-9 car, that frees up, you know, a decent amount of money, because we need, that car is, you know, the 15, and it's getting getting there, so, you know, that would free us up for, you know, we would be spending on that, so it's kind of in flux at this point, you know. I mean, I don't know that we'll know for 100% before the end of the year whether we get the grant for the canine car, so, you know, we're gonna have to kind of wing it a little bit on the budget with that, and I think we have the budget for the car and then maybe able to move it to something else. But I thought when we discussed the call last month, I thought we were just, I thought you guys just formed order. But, cause there's only two places to get it, you got the price, right?
Yep,
So I was pretty sure last month you said to get it, cause you needed it. Either way, whether you got the truck or not, we're gonna get the plow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
we're gonna need the plow either way.
I guess the point you're making is that if we don't let them know now that we wanna buy the truck, someone else is gonna buy it.
Definitely, definitely. So that's like, that's your choice. It's not my choice, it's just that the international is beginning nickel and dimes.
So
And,
Brian, you have a list of bills that,
Right. And, you know,
for the one truck.
bills would be paid off December, January, and February for these other vehicles. I think we just have to wait to see, make sure we can pay for it. I mean, I think we have the money to pay for it, to make the payment, definitely. So, you know, I say we get a firm cost,
It's
and
in
we
the
go
minutes
for
from
it.
last month.
We were going to talk about.
Yeah.
well, somebody from the township would have to talk to them,
Right, right, well, and again,
either with the supervisor, the Carl, or.
If we get the plow, if we buy the plow, would that still be used on the new truck if
Yep.
we were to decide? that?
Same plow.
All right,
100%.
let's buy the new plow. And then,
Now, it's,
you know, I guess the question is, you know, over the next 30 days, do they sell that truck? And we don't get a new truck.
and we'll see, absolutely.
But
Yep.
I think we need to look at the numbers.
you'll still get a good price out of the international. It's still in, where it'll give you some money back.
Right.
And, if the truck outfitted is right around, their estimate is around 200,000, so if you get 50 or 60,000 for the international, you're talking at 150,000. You go down to Gibbons, you can buy a F600, that's 137,000, so there's no comparison in the truck. But like I say, the call is up to the board, it's not up to me.
Right.
We're definitely buying the plow.
I will try to get
Get it ordered,
within next week, I'll get over to Paul and,
and then we'll look further.
I know Barnum had one, but that was 2 weeks ago, and last year we got Paul for the international. Remember when the Paul fell off? It was,
But we gotta drag it, I remember.
we had a Rob Peters take Paul, and just because we was a resident, we're there, we got the plow. So, you know, when they're gone, they're gone. But I will get with Paul. And if it's there, I'm gonna send a truck over and get it.
Ms. Johnson?
I wasn't sure if there was anyone else. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do a public comment, but after hearing two township employees resign, there's a Pennsylvania Act, Healthy Workplace Act, House Bill number 1041. The purpose of this act is to provide a legal redress for employees who have been named harmed psychologically, physically, or economically by deliberate exposure to abusive work environment. Repeated verbal abuse by the use of derogatory remarks, insults, epithets, verbal, nonverbal, or physical conduct of a threatening, intimidating, or humiliating in nature. This is still part of the act. The employer was aware of the abusive conduct before the employee's resignation and fails to respond to and prevent the abusive conduct from reoccurring. Abusive work environment, prohibition. An employee may not be subject to an abusive work environment by an employer or another employee. Now, prior to me going any further, I'd like to apologize in advance to the attendees.
What I'm about to read is not hearsay, but objective findings, such as a paper trail from one of the supervisors towards a township road crew employee. Quote, "You fucking guys cost me more money than your work." Unquote. Quote, "You guys are bad in 1,000 ways." Unquote. This is the response from the township employee. Quote, "I'm tired of yours and Stanley's bullshit and abuse. We've been called stupid, niggers, and every other name in the book. I'm over it. Take this job and shove it." End quote. Response from Supervisor Birdsell. Quote, "Goodbye." Unquote. Way too many comments have been said in disrespectful tones and words that were made towards Meeting Township residents. They all can't be lying after all of this. So, as the head of DPW, which I'm understanding Supervisor Janetta, why the micromanaging when there's someone the head of DPW? Why micromanage? Maybe if there wasn't micromanage, we'd still have 2 employees. I'm done. That was abuse.
Rose?
Listen, I have a comment. Any employee, whoever it belongs to, you're getting paid $21 to $22 to $24 an hour, and you're getting full benefits, then work for the money. Okay, then work for it. That's what
Thank you, Rose.
That's what it is in the real world,
Thank
okay?
you.
I want to respond.
No.
I would like to respond.
Brian.
Hold on.
Thank you.
I would like to respond to this accusation that she just talked
It's
about.
a paper trail.
There is a paper trail, and I said it. I said it 100%, I said it. You know why? Because I'm gonna tell you why it came up. They had a job to do, one job to do.
I don't need to hear that.
Listen, I'm talking now. I have the floor. Not you, I do.
Thank
Miss
you for the
Johnson,
disrespect.
I don't know whether you're using this as political,
No, I'm
whatever,
not.
but you're a registered nurse, aren't you? A so-called
Yes, like
professional
what I
nurse?
have findings, and there's
All right, so
that I'm
it's a rumor. It's a rumor that they've been talked to so terribly.
No,
Terribly
I said
throughout
rumors,
their
I
whole
said
career.
residents, I
This
didn't
was
say
one
rumors.
day that they cost the township over $4,000 one time, and another time.
Not your
four-
money.
You're damn right it is my money.
It's my money too.
It's your money, it's
It's all
everyone in
my
this
money.
room, it's in their money. But by the way, they couldn't take criticism, which they needed, because if they cost the taxpayers $400 a day, do that for 10 days, it's $4,000. These taxpayers voted me in to run this township like I see run it, and I see to run it that they should not use their money. They should not negligence. They were disgruntled employees. They damaged multi things in the township. And it's a rumor that what you're talking about. It was a one-day incident that they did all this damage in one day. So since we're on rumors, I have a rumor.
I'm not saying rumors.
It is a rumor. It is a rumor.
It's paper trail.
So you're a registered nurse, correct?
And a clinical consultant,
And-
and management.
So you should, as a professional and running for supervisor, you should get both sides of the stories before you
There's
start your own
subjective and
story.
objective findings.
Before you start your own story.
No, this isn't my own story.
Yes, it is your own story. You
Now
brought
you're
it out,
coming after me.
you brought out the
township
story
president, you're coming after me.
above and beyond of what it really was, but I can go.
I'm going to the words.
You're going
all I'm
to a
going.
one-day process when these employees cost the township over $6,000 within a month. $6,000. And you're saying it's not my money, it's yours, my money, it's your money, it's your money, it's your money, it's everyone's money in this room. And because they were told before it happened to make sure you look under there before it does. But do they care? No, they just go ahead because it wasn't their money.
So you're justifying the verbal.
No, I'm not justifying anything, bro. That's the way I talk. I talk that all the time. That's how I talk.
You're a businessman.
You're right, and that's
Far
how I
from a
talk.
professional.
And it's how I talk, it's how I always talk. I never said anything negative to them. Just because the word fuck came out of my mouth, big deal. But I wasn't sitting in a bar in March, sitting there and letting people drive drunk as a registered nurse.
I'm adjourning. Done.
Wait a minute, we
We
have
have a public comment, please.
public comment one?
It's
On
not
our
about,
road?
it's about our road.
Yes, your road is on our list for next month.
For next month, because we've
Yes.
been trying this since 17. Okay, for
Yes,
next
we're,
month.
we're.
Mike, maybe
dig out the
We would have had
pipe.
that,
Adjourned.
if we, we would have had that done if we,
Who is cheating, cheating?
They adjourned the meeting.
Yo, guys, where you running?
They adjourned the meeting.
Oh, nobody adjourned.
Yes, he did.